Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Tomiwa Aluko. In today's episode, I spoke with a life skills coach, author, school owner, and managing partner of JobCenter Nigeria, Mr. George Okoh. We discussed what bullying really is and the short and long-term impact on a person's life. We also talked about some of the reasons why children start exhibiting bullying characteristics at a very young age, and the role that parents, guidance, and the government can play to ensure that a child is protected from bullies and that children are taught what accountability and responsibility is at an early stage. This topic is of interest considering the recent story of Sylvester Oromoni, a 12-year-old student of Dowen College in Nigeria who was bullied by his peers in the school. Sylvester later died because of the injuries he suffered, and his death has attracted both national and international attention by many celebrities and the news outlets including the BBC in terms of finding justice for Sylvester and opening a window for the conversation on bullying. More on Sylvester's story can be found online. For those of you who want to participate in the advocacy for justice, you can go to www.change.org and sign the petition for justice for Sylvester Oromoni Jr. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So before we start the conversation for today's interview, I would like you to please tell me about yourself briefly and what you do.
I'm a life skill coach, a serial entrepreneur, and a management consultant. I'm more into human capacity development and, everything within the environment of human capital development. That's actually my specialty. So we take note of human behavior. We try to make sure that people follow their passion and they profit from following their passion. So as much as possible, JobCenter Nigeria, which I piloted and which I'm still involved in, we are into career development. We are into lifestyle and leadership. We are into, being a life skill coach, we are also into coaching and mentoring. So within the ambit of human reasoning and human capacity building, recruitment administration, that's where my activities fall in. Now, I actually come out of a family that is into the educational sector. So we have a school that was established in 1978 and then got government approval in 1979 and still exists till today. And the school had actually chunked out and graduated lots and lots of individuals who are successful in their various endeavors. The school is over 50 years old, I think almost 50 years of age, because 1979 till date. And then that's actually one of the reasons and why I became a popular figure in my immediate environment, because people know me based on the school, because I was actually one of the resource administrators there. My mom started it. My brother is a director, and I have other brothers who are also directors, but I was like a resource administrator. So based on that, that was why when I was given this topic of bullying, I was like, wow, very, very interesting, because for someone who passed through a boarding house system in those days, we won't call it bullying. We weren't going to call it bullying, but it was all part of life. But now it's a different thing entirely. So when I got the message and I got the invite, I told myself that, yes, this is a very good topic to discuss about. I do not claim to be an expert in the issues we're going to discuss in, which we all acknowledge are very, very, very evolving by the day. Things change. And my responses to the questions I'll be asked are based on the context and of what we are discussing, and it shouldn't be taken to mean one size fits all. You know, in so many situations, the solution to a problem should be adaptive in nature to the problem itself, which could also take environmental location into consideration.
I believe that you are familiar with the story of the 12-year-old boy, Sylvester Oromoni, who recently died as a result of his peers bullying him in school, which is a very, very tragic death, to be honest. Based on what we know, based on the facts, based on the story, what do you understand by the term bullying?
Wow, that's interesting. The term bullying is used to describe, it's an action word, and is used to describe the event of a deliberate action. It's a deliberate action, either verbal or physical, where a person, let me say, while a person in an aggressive manner, really, yes, the person has to be in an aggressive manner, seeks to intimidate. That's very, very important. You seek to intimidate, to create fear. And in some cases, in some situations, cause harm. You see, you can actually bully and not cause physical harm, but in some situations and in some cases, cause physical harm to the person that is being bullied. In my opinion, bullying is an intended act of causing distress to the person that you're bullying. It's just an intended act of causing distress. Some people bully without intentions of causing physical harm. Yes, but the issue behind the bullying is you're going to cause the person to be distressed, and you're carrying out an intentional action. So it's intentional. So you cannot separate bullying from the person that is carrying out the act, because he carries it out intentionally to create fear.
Okay.
As I said earlier, in our secondary school days, it was common, but we never called it bullying because that was what made some of us became thick in it.
I'm very happy that you mentioned that point, because bullying has been normalized over the years, especially in Africa, in Nigeria in particular. And I say this simply because children are being bullied by their peers, and whenever they report the situation to their parents, maybe because of ignorance, they don't really know what bullying is, they tend to shun the child. Or even in families, kids get bullied in the family, but they don't really know how to voice how they feel. The question is, do you think that bullying is it natural? Why do you think children exhibit bullying characteristics at a very young age? Do you think it's nature or nurture?
In my opinion, the act of bullying is 70% nurture and 20% nature.
Okay.
And the last 10%, the missing 10% remains unknown. Now, why do I say that? Look at the natural aspect of it is looking at the child's size. That you're big as a child, some people expect you to always take the lead. Now, you're big as a child could be in your genes. It could be natural. And people expect you to take the lead. And if you don't take the lead, bullying can take place. Some people see you as being fat. And because of your size, you might be slow, but they interpret you to be sluggish. And when you're sluggish among your peers, bullying can take place. Now, but when we talk about nurture, train a child in a way you expect him, and that is how he will turn out to be. So it's actually created by parental upbringing from the home. That's the angle at which you should look at bullying. You see, when your child becomes a bully, the signs are there. When your child is also bullied, the signs are also there. So let's start from the home. You see, a child who bullies comes from a home. A child who is bullied comes from a home. So let's look at the home front. And that's when you actually be able to say, okay, this bullying thing, it can be tackled. It can be easily tackled. So as much as possible, I see it as 70% nurture, 20% nature. Nature, environment can take, your situation can take you to an environment and you find yourself being bullied there. So that's where the nature comes in. And the last 10% that I said remains unknown. Right. Now, when I say 70% nurture, in that 70%, you can have, of the 100% of the 70%, you can have 50% home, 50% away.
Okay.
It's like playing a football. You have the home advantage, you have the away advantage. You have home matches, you have away matches. So now when we talk about away, the 50% away has got to do with being in school, peer pressure, lack of attention. You can get full attention at home and not get attention in school. And you want to get the same attention you get at home, you want to get it in school. The need for control, you want to control your peers. You have children that in the homes, they give them everything. When they get to school, school is well regulated and you see their behavior changes. So the white children's bully, there are several reasons. The need for even acceptance. Yes, the need for acceptance is a reason why a child can decide to become a bully. Right. So it's a lot to do with both peer pressure, home front. You have some children that the bully takes place in the house, and he comes to school and he's excited. And unfortunately, children are moved more by what they see, what they experience. Right. So when he experienced bullying at home, he comes out and he wants to be a champion. He's, and interestingly enough, you see, if you look at the definition I gave that for the terminology of bullying, you know what you're doing. But there are times these children don't know what they are doing. At what line do you say the child knows he's a bully? That is still open to research. Yes, because if you talk about bullying, you have babies. When you put babies to play, a baby, you're talking about toddlers now, a toddler can actually be taking toys away from other children and he wants everything himself. Will you say he's bullying them? Does he know what he's doing? Those fall in the 10% of the unknown. Why is the child behaving like that? At that age, where is the influence? There's no influence on the child. So the truth remains that it's a very, 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 very strong topic that needs both scientific research, medical research, spiritual research. It needs all the researches that we have to carry out to be able to find out a solution. And as we said, we don't have a case of one size fits all. Yeah. Because why somebody decides to be bullying is different from why another person decides to be bullying. So every bullying situation is unique on its own.
What are some of the reasons why children feel reluctant or scared to tell their parents or their guardians that they have been bullied?
That they have been bullied. Okay, now, first things first, there is fear of stigmatization. You tell your parents, just as you said, some parents are not even aware of what bullying is. Yeah. You can tell your parents, guess what, this person did this to me, and the parent does not understand it is bullying. The parent tells you, can't you fight back? How can they shout on you? And why didn't you shout back on them? Yes. The parent has not looked into what the child has said, but he just feels, and some parents tell you, with how big you are, you're allowing somebody they will use the word chance you, they won't use the word bully you. Wow. So you have children that when maybe they've reported such an issue once or twice, and they've seen the outcome. They don't report it again. Now, you also have the fear of it repeating itself, because you have situations whereby you tell your parents, and your parent goes to the school or goes to the house of the boy that bullied you, or calls the person that bullies you and reacts in a very violent way to the child. Right. And immediately your parent goes, the child, they will call you, you spend your time with them, and they'll tell you, okay, maybe you reported to your daddy, you reported to your mommy, and they will react. They will bully you the more. It goes beyond attacking the child now. So you have children that when they see all those things, the fear of, should I report? What will happen? Then the fear of, no action was even taken when I reported. Yes, I reported this case and nothing came out of it. So there are reasons why children are scared to report. Even in schools, you have situations where a child tells a teacher, this person, and a teacher decides to call the child the bully, and instead of attacking it or handling the situation professionally, she beats the child, kneel down there, forgetting the fact that when these children are on the playground, there are times teachers are not there.
That's true.
And if the child that you are chastising because he's the bully has more friends, they've created the clique situation. That child that reported is in trouble. Absolutely. So for these reasons, some children don't report. Some children have even watched movies. Now, imagine your child is watching a movie that has got to do with bullying and does not watch it to the end. You know what that means? He watched it to the point at which he saw how a bully was being treated and how the bully reacted. But he never watched the film to the end, because most movies like that always end, the child being bullied will end up apologizing and become friends with the person who was bullying. But if your child doesn't watch the movie to the end, what happens? He becomes more afraid. Okay. You know, so to be able to curb bullying, there should be a supervisory way of curbing it.
Right.
That's very, very, very important.
I do agree with the point you made earlier when you spoke about one of the reasons why children find it difficult to talk to their parents is because of they don't want to be stigmatization. Yes. They don't want to be seen by their mates and teachers and those in the school as being weak or anything like that. And this takes me back to my experience in secondary school. This was many years ago. I was 16. I was physically attacked. And I remember that day when I got home, the first person who noticed that something was wrong was my elder sister. She knew for a fact that Tomiwa looks different, something will have happened, but I didn't have the courage to tell my parents about it because I know how dramatic my parents can be. Now thinking about it, I do regret me not telling my parents about it. Simply because I feel if I had told my parents about it, then the bullying would have stopped. Because it didn't stop there. Those girls kept attacking me over and over again. And this really, really dampened my confidence. It was a huge barrier to my learning at that point. And right now, thinking about it, I wish I told my parents, because if I told my parents, then something would have been done. Perhaps my parents will have maybe hired a counselor, or things will have been done in an appropriate way. This leads me to my next point, because bullying can occur anywhere.
Yeah.
It takes place in the school. Now, we're not really looking at the school. We are looking at other institutions. It can happen in the church. It can happen in the family. How can parents identify that their kids have been bullied?
Once they're being bullied, there's a withdrawal situation. A very lively child, for example, using your example, you went to school, you were lively, but immediately you started being bullied, you were going to withdraw. That's the first thing. The first thing is you withdraw. And that leads to low self-esteem is developed immediately.
Yes.
You just realize that you want to do something, you have the mind of doing something, and these things, you just don't do it. Mm-hmm. Your fear. There's an emotional imbalance that occurs in in a particular child, or even in an adult that is being bullied. So, and all of a sudden you get angry easily when people do not see into what's happening to you. Your reaction to your parents, to your friends, to situation becomes very, very, very unlike you. Let's use the phrase unlike you. So parents should be very, very observant. That's the first thing. You have to be very, very observant. Once you're observant with your kids, you will know. A child who is always happy going to school, wakes up early going to school, or you tell him we're going to church and he's always the first person, and all of a sudden, maybe in the Sunday school class he attends, there's a particular child that bullies him, that takes his Bible from him, or doesn't allow him to sit down properly on a seat, or when it's time to play, doesn't allow him to play freely with toys. You notice that the child now does not want to go to Sunday school class. Now, once you're observant, once a parent is observant, the next step is communicate with your child. What's wrong with you? You don't want to go to church today. Why? Tell me about it. There is a way, being an adult, you will ask questions and the child will tell you why. Now, I'm a certified life skill coach, and I will tell you that coaching is different from training and counseling. As a coach, we do not tell you what to do. Rather than that, we have the ability of asking the right questions that you'll give us the feedback we want to get. And that feedback is a solution to your problem. So parents should be able to get to that level of, okay, I noticed that you let me give a good example. On a good day, a child goes to school and comes back dirty. He plays football, he's always dirty, he's always rough. You know your child to be like that. He comes back and you always scold him. Then all of a sudden, you notice that he goes to school and he comes back and his uniform is still as clean and as neat as he goes to school in the morning. You're excited and you're happy. If it happens for a week, there's a problem. Because that means this child doesn't play. Why doesn't he play? Good, but some parents will take it to mean, wow, he's listening to what I'm saying, that you're always dirty. No. It's a process. And the process is a child should go to school and get dirty, not too dirty. So that's why I said the parent should be very, 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 very observant, extremely observant. Create a communication. You see, there shouldn't be a communication gap between you and the child. Right. Know who your children's friends are. Yes. Know who your children's friends are. It's very, very, very important. Talk to them. Who's your best friend in school? What does your best friend do? Where does your best friend live? Now, the minute you are able to do that, you are creating a bond with your child that whatever happens, the child will always tell you. Daddy, do you know what happened? Dad, do you know what happened to me today? My friend, they didn't allow me to take the snacks I took to school. My friend ate it. They didn't allow me to. He tells you that, and you can laugh over it and wave it out. By the time he tells you the second time, it's an issue. Do you know they didn't allow me to even eat my snack again today? That's an issue. Now, how you react will determine if the child will tell you again. How you react will determine if the child will be comfortable telling you again. Because, for example, the child tells you that, and the next thing is, okay, I'll come and see your teacher about it.
Right.
Now, you go and see the teacher, you tell the teacher, my son is complaining that some children eat. You know the child that eats a snack, but you're trying to be diplomatic because you know that it can have a spiral effect on your child. So you tell the teacher, oh, some children don't allow my son to. Now, if the teacher is a professional, the teacher will know how to handle it. How does the teacher handle it? Talk to the child. When you talk to the child and the child can tell the teacher, that means the child has trust in the teacher to tell the teacher who the person is. And the teacher shouldn't just call the boy or call the girl and start beating them. No. Call them and know the reason why they're doing what they're doing. What if you find out that they don't bring snacks by themselves and they're actually hungry? So you can see where at that line, do you call that bullying? The child is hungry, he needs the food. But he just feels that this is an easy prey for me to be able to eat his food. That is different from a child who comes to school with his own food, sees your child's food, and decides to take it, doesn't eat it, but throws it away, just to make sure he doesn't eat his food. You can see there's a line in all these things. So the teacher being a professional, now the parent has done his best. Now the parent will also follow up with the child. So hope everything has been settled. The child will tell you, yes, my teacher called the person, spoke to the person, blah, 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 and very interesting. So most parents, you need to educate your child. Educate your child on what bullying is. That's the truth. You've seen some signs that the child is being bullied because of the withdrawal, or you notice some little marks on his body. Just as there was a question somebody asked that, at what age should you stop interfering in bathing your children? I was like, wow, interfering in bathing your children, that's a strong one, because if a child is being bullied in school and he has marks on his body, if you don't, you will know. Oh, sure. Good, how will you know? So you can see, that's why I said this topic is very, very wide. It's very, very, very wide. Especially in a situation of a child is in a boarding house. You see, the truth is this. Going to a boarding house, the parent has left 99% of their responsibilities in the hands of the school. The school system should cater for that period when the child is in the boarding house. And if the boarding house school fees is expensive, I will tell you that running a boarding house is not easy. The cost of maintaining the children in school is not easy. So when I hear people say, oh, they are paying millions. No. Every boarding house must have an ambulance. Yes, every boarding house must have a standby nurse, not one, not usually two. The conditions to get these people there is not easy. Because What if a child starts convulsing in the night or something happens to the child at night? First aid must first be carried out by a professional.
Absolutely.
Before taking the child to the hospital. So there's so many things that should be done. So we shouldn't look away from it. We shouldn't shy away from it. And we shouldn't see it as being an impossible task. No. It's possible. It's a gradual process and we'll get there.
We'll be looking at this topic from the perspective of the person who has been bullied. Now, Let's look at this topic from the perspective of the person who is bullying another child.
Good.
What role do you think parents can play to ensure that kids are taught what responsibility and accountability is from an early stage? I ask this question because so far, now looking at the story of Sylvester Oromoni, rest in peace. Allegedly, it is all over the news that the parents of the kids who bullied this boy, some of them have been flown out of the country. Allegedly, some of them have been moved to another school. But this just shows that parents, their actions can also contribute to how a child will, how a child will grow, how a child will develop, because a situation like this whereby a parent knows for a fact that, okay, my child has done something wrong, but instead of you correcting the child, instead of you teaching the child or even taking the child to, let's say, to a therapist to really coach this child that, look, what you've done is wrong and you need to be held accountable for it. Instead, they are taking the other turn. So there is a very, very important role that parents must play to ensure that a child is held accountable. So what exactly can parents do?
Just as you said, it's just alleged that
yes.
children have been flown out. That's still hasn't been proven.
Yes.
Most parents act as expected as parents, which is protect your child first. That's what most parents do. They protect their children. Then it's when you sit down to analyze the level of protection you're giving your child, you now realize that, wow, this is beyond the instinct of a parent of protecting the child. But if you go to the foundation, everything depends on the foundation now. Now, what's the foundation? The foundation is if you have that communication with your child from an early age, the child will not get to a senior secondary school level and become a bully. That's where it is. Now, from the early age, make your child know that he is accountable for certain actions. Yes. Accountable for certain actions are a child misbehaves in school and they want to punish him, or they are finished punishing him, and because maybe you are the PTA chairman or you are the one that donated the school bus, you get angry and you go back to the school and you are shouting at, or your child commits an offense, and because you are the PTA chairman or because you are a senior member of the society, they cannot reprimand your child. No. Let's communicate with your child that, come, I'm taking you to this school. If you misbehave, they will treat you like every normal child. Interestingly enough, let the school management and the school authority know that I'm bringing this child to you for you to discipline him, for you to make him a better adult, if possible, better than me, the father. So it's from the foundation that should be made known to the child, to the school, to everybody around, that you get to a stage in life that you must account for your actions. Yes, people say, oh, they are still young. No, they listen. Children listen. Let them know. And when you talk about listening, you are getting to a level of understanding the difference between disciplining a child and punishing a child. They are two different things. Discipline a child for an action that you know, yes, but you see, punishment is different. Children react to punishment. Yes, and their reaction to punishment is always to the negative. But when you discipline a child because he committed an offense, he's being disciplined, he knows why he's being punished, he will not want to carry out that offense again. So as much as possible, parents should look at the two sides and say, okay, fine, from an early age, let me make sure this child knows what accountability is. That if you do this, the precaution you will carry, daddy will not carry it for you. These are the precautions of your action. So as much as possible. And when you start doing that, that is where the parents themselves allow children to watch certain movies. There are so many movies now, Nollywood movies, I'll tell you the truth, that are very, very educative. Children should watch it. Wow, so you mean this child did this and this is what happened? Then the parents should watch it with the children and let them know that it can happen to you. That your father is rich does not mean you should misbehave. So as much as possible, you see, but the instinct of a parent will always be protect your child.
Right.
Yes. So if you do that, I don't blame parents when they do that. You protect a child, yes. But when the chips are down, the same parents, if the allegation is true, that those children are now out of the country, the same parents will bring them back. That's the truth. The same parents will bring them back. Come and serve your punishment. I did my best to protect you. Why parents do that is for future purposes. You see, the reference there is, Daddy, but when I did this, why didn't you? That's what children will say. That's what will be said. Okay, yes, my first reaction was to fly you out first and see if we could douse the tension. And after dousing the tension, we brought you back to come and bear the consequence of what you did. And that's when you now realize the fact that the parents have been warning these children. I told you, this is your bullying attitude. Even the way you behave at home, the way you, that's what happens. So as much as possible, communication is key. Be very, very vigilant and observant as a parent. Communication is key. Very, very important.
Let's look at the impact now and effect of bullying on a person. What do you think are some of the short-term and long-term impacts of bullying in a person's life?
Anybody that is being bullied is an angry person. That's the truth. So short-term, there's anger, there's depression, there's this anxiousness to avoid certain situations. Oh, there's a party going out here, a children's party, and you want to take your child there. He is saying that I don't want to go. Why? There's a particular boy there who bullies him in school. Because of that boy, he's not ready to go to that party. But if you are not a parent that communicates with your child will not tell you why he doesn't want to go. All he will tell is, Daddy, I don't want to go. I'm tired. He gives an excuse.
Yeah.
These are the effects. There's greater incidence of illness in the sense that the child will always be freaking to be ill. He doesn't want to go to school. You know, he always want to avoid the situation whereby, even if he's not the bully, but the friends of the bully, if they're in a place, he won't want to go there. So as much as possible. Now, then also, if you look at this, if he's a student, it's also going to affect his school performance. Yes, it will affect it. Now, imagine a tall boy that is being bullied. Being tall means sit at the back of the class so you don't cover the short ones. And if because you sit at the back of the class, the people that do the bullying are behind you, but you can't sit in front, you will not want to go to school all the time. You know, people just notice that the effect is, in some cases, suicidal attempts, because a child who wants to commit suicide does not know what he's doing. Right. Yes, he just sees it as it's an escape route. They said if I die, nobody will see me. Let me just kill myself and He doesn't know what death is. At least if I die, whatever I'm doing there, nobody has been there to come back to say what's happening there. So there are tendencies of committing suicide, and these are the short terms. Now, the long term, there is always desire for revenge. It takes a person with the heart of God not to think of revenge. You are in secondary school and all through this person has been bullying you. You now get to the university and you see an opportunity to revenge. You will revenge. That's just human instinct. Even if you don't revenge, you want to confront the person. Especially if then he was bullying you because you were small in size. And all of a sudden in the university, you're now big in size. You will look for him. If he's in that same university with you, yes. Then there is an issue, long term, there's an issue of trust. If you are reporting the cases and nothing is happening, you have a problem with trust issues with authority. If you report anything, forget it. When I was small, I was reporting how all these people that they put in authorities, they're just, that's when you hear people say, they're just there for the money. They're just there for the fame. They're just there for the, so that trust issue becomes something else. Then also there's a low emotional competency of someone that was bullied and kept it to himself or herself.
Right.
The emotional competency is a very serious thing. There's always fear. You just realize there's always fear. The fear, interestingly enough, even fear to be alone. Yes. Because fear, the fear factor comes in. Fear to be alone, fear to mix with new people. You know, imagine because of fear, you get a new job and you go there, you notice that, wow, the people here are bigger than me in size. Or everybody there is, you know, fast and you're afraid.
Right.
I hope somebody here, because of their sizes, I hope they will not, you know. So as much as possible, low self-esteem. Then there's also an increasing incidence that the bullying can continue.
Okay.
Yes, long term. Because you withdraw yourself, everybody to you becomes a bully. Everybody becomes a bully, that even when you are wrong and somebody shouts on you, you see him as he's bullying me. Even when you are wrong now. So every incident becomes a bullying incident to you. So you have the long-term and the short-term effect. So the long-term effects are the desire for revenge, trust issues, low emotional competency, low self-esteem, you know. And you have some adults that have very low self-esteem, that you will only know the reason when you sit down and discuss their past with them, and they'll tell you how they were bullied and how they did not, they didn't make any effort, or even though they made efforts to try and curb it and change the situation, it's unfortunately the authorities did nothing.
I really like the fact that you thought about that, because bullying takes a toll in a person's life. It takes years to actually come out of that trauma. And anybody can be bullied. It's not necessarily children, also adults can be bullied. In fact, men are also bullied in our society today. When we're talking about adults, it's a bit difficult, because adults, in most cases, let's say, for example, a woman who is in a relationship with a man and is being bullied by her partner, in that situation, what can that woman do? Like, how can she navigate the bullying? Because I feel people may not, I don't know, some people will probably not want to talk about it or even report it. But what advice can you give to adults now? Yes.
Now, when you talk about relationship and bullying, it's always difficult, because where do you draw the line between bullying in a relationship and domestic violence?
Exactly.
That's where there's a problem. Because the minute somebody starts bullying you in a relationship, I see that as violence.
Okay.
Because violence, intention to make you distressed, is part of what bullying is all about. And and emotional violence is also there. So the person doesn't have to beat you physically. But as an adult, the truth is, if you have an opportunity to get out of the relationship, so be it. It's not, see, nothing is cast on stone. It's not a do or die thing. If you have an opportunity to discuss it out with the person, I don't like this. When you do this, this is how it affects me. And the person is reactive to your situation and tries to change, and you see improvement, you can stay. If you notice that it's becoming unbearable and you still want to stay, seek professional counseling. Okay. Let the person be willing to go with you. And if the person is not willing to go with you, you take yourself to a professional counselor. The counselors will actually tell you what to do. Even when the person refuses to come to them, they will tell you what to do. And that's why you have so many fields of study to cater for every situation. You have professional counselors that are medical doctors. They will tell you what to do. You have those that are psychologists. They will tell you what to do. Then you have those that are even specialists in relationship management. They will tell you what to do. So as much as possible, see, when bullying takes place on the adult level, that is more of a serious thing, because as an adult, you can react physically immediately.
Of course. Before
you notice you've reacted. And when you start talking, you'll be talking about, I reacted in self-defense. And we know what will happen if your self-defense leads to the death of somebody. That's a different ball game entirely. So as much as possible, as an adult, I would say, once it gets to the level that you cannot bear, it's better to just take your leave. You see, we should accept the fact that what you can tolerate, you don't make effort to change.
But then, Mr. George, if you're saying that now you've given different scenarios, if this is not working, then they should do this. If that is not working, then this is a solution. Or a situation whereby, let's say a woman, she's been bullied by her partner, but then she has kids. But then she's thinking to herself, if I leave this man and I leave my kids, what's going to happen to me? So people find that very, very hard to
yes,
just,
and okay.
just
Yes,
do like that.
Good. Now that's why I said the line there is it bullying? Is it domestic violence? We first have to establish the facts. Now, if you call it bullying and you are ready to cope with it, you're not ready to change the situation. Make all attempts to change the situation. And if the situation does not change, the truth is leave. Live with your children or live without your children. All that will now depend on the courts.
Right.
All that will now depend on the authority. Because you cannot tell somebody to stay put and physical harm starts occurring. Emotional harm occurs to the point of the person commits suicide. No matter how bad it wants to be, if you commit suicide, your children will still live. That's the truth. I am not a party to it must work by force. Yes, we know that biblically, the Bible does not encourage divorce, but the same Bible makes you understand that it takes two to make it work. Two must be in agreement. So if you're, let's say if you're married and you are both not in agreement after courtship of marriage, you can be separated but not divorced. Stay in separate ways, and you know what that means. In as long as your fusion has been husband and wife, was under the umbrella of the Bible, when you stay separated, there are rules and regulations that you must follow, which should also be biblical. Just okay, yeah, we're not together, but yes, we are separated. Now, when you stay separated for that period of time, you might understand the reason why you should be together, and you come back together. And you know what that is when you're separated. It means don't get married. That's the meaning, because before you marry, you need to get divorced again. And if you stay under the Bible, you're not supposed to divorce, so stay separated. And can you cope being separated for long? The answer in that depends on the individuals. So as much as possible, nothing is cast on stone. Your situation should depend and determine how you react. But I believe that professional counseling has a solution to most of these problems. But most people don't believe in the counselors. Some people will tell you, how can you be a professional counselor and you're not married? And you want to counsel a married person? You don't know what I'm going through. You don't, no. It's just like having a management consultant. You have two types. You have those that are management consultants because they have worked in management field for years and they've even retired. And it's their experience they are putting to work. It's their experience they are putting, they call people and say, they talk about the experience. And you have those that are still very young. They've not experienced anything, but they have read as much as possible rare books that you don't get to find. And when they come up with ideas, you're like, where did he get it from? So that's the same thing you have with counselors. You have some counselors that have experienced it themselves. You have those that have read extensively to be able to proffer solution. So let's believe in the professionals. In every field that you do, believe in the professional. Meet them. They will counsel you well. So if it's bullying and it has not gotten to the level of domestic violence, it's still solvable. But when it gets to the point of domestic violence, at what level? Are we talking about physical? Are we talking about emotional? At what level? That should determine if you can cope or not.
Before we move on, I quickly want to bring your attention to another form of bullying, which is also called cyberbullying or online bullying. What do you understand by that? And How do you think people who are being bullied online, who are being trolled online by either celebrities or anybody really, what advice do you have for them?
The minute you notice that you are being bullied cyberly, make yourself invisible and give yourself a period. And after that, reinvent yourself.
Okay.
That's just my own advice. You see, make yourself invisible and reinvent yourself. Now, the minute you know where the angle at which the bullying is coming from, communicate with the person. Learn to know why. Be ready to explain yourself to the person. Let the person be ready to see things from your own angle. It makes things easier. Don't be too defensive and don't do the attack, the firebrand approach. You tell your friends, say, no, attack the person, but no. You don't need all that. You see, everything in life is solvable through dialogue. Every situation through dialogue. Even the physical bully, somebody's bullying you, and you decide you don't want to tell your dad, you can't meet the person. Please, I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. I want you to be my friend. I like you. I want you to be my friend. With any small thing you are harassing her, we just have how many hours to spend together in school. I want you to be my friend. If you can sum up the courage to do that, the person, yes, he feels he has conquered you. Allow him to conquer. Yes, allow him to conquer. That does not, don't allow it to affect your person. And once he's your friend, is that not the end of it? Or that's the end. So as much as possible, cyberbullying is make yourself invincible for a period and relaunch yourself. That's it.
And what's if the bullying,
Continue.
It's happening? Because the difference between physical bullying and cyberbullying is the fact that physical bullying is repetitive, can be repetitive. But online bullying can just be once, and the damage that act can do in a person's life can be great.
I will always say this: when there's an online bullying or a cyberbullying situation, first things first, is it going to affect your brand? Is it going to affect the service you're rendering? When it talks about brand, it's going to affect you as a person. Are they actually attacking you because of what you're doing? Or is it your personality? You have to be able to identify all those things. That will determine how you are going to respond. Because if you're attacking the service I'm rendering, then it's like you're only trying to demarket me because maybe I'm a high competitor to your own brand. Now, if you're attacking my person, maybe you just don't like me. So that will determine how I attack it. So if it's a case of you want to just, you see, our problems as human beings is that we shy away from certain facts. The minute you know where it is coming from, confront the person. Be diplomatic in your approach. That's it. Just be diplomatic in confronting the person. I'm sorry if you see, the word sorry is a special word. I'm sorry if I have done this to you, and whatever it is, take me as a friend, not an enemy, because my actions are not, if my actions are hurting, it was not intentional. So always be ready to apologize, even for what you did not do. Apologize and make the person your friend. But if you decide to fight back, you don't know what is in the person's arsenal. And some people they take the pride and the joy in doing it. So as much as possible, try to avoid that.
I like that. Be diplomatic in everything.
Be diplomatic in everything.
That's good.
Diplomatic does not mean, when you're diplomatic, it doesn't mean that you're weak. It only means that you want peace.
You have a school in Kaduna State, Nigeria.
Yes.
As a school owner, if a child reports that he or she has been bullied by his mates or by even a teacher, what steps do you take as a school now to ensure that the bullying stops? I mean, do you counsel the children? Now, I'm talking about both the bully and the bully.
You see, now, let's take Nigeria, for example.
Yeah.
We don't have a child protection and safeguarding template. Every school or every institution that deals directly or indirectly with children should have a template of child protection and child safeguarding. Okay. Now, once you have that template, it makes it you have a reporting line of activities, You communicate with the children to make them understand that if this is happening to you, this is the procedure you go. And these things are meant to be logged. And there is a level at which it gets so that it goes beyond the school. So that's like in the school that the family runs, that's what we do. We have a procedure to say, okay, if a child comes to school late, and if we've seen that it's consistent for a period, we want to know why. We want to know why from the child. Then you communicate with the parents to know why. Imagine a situation whereby a child leaves the home, the driver is supposed to bring the child straight to school, but the driver branched somewhere, and the child is molested. And the child enjoys it, not knowing that that kind of thing is bad. The school notices that this child is always coming late. You ask the child innocently says, hey, we always branch somewhere. You know that that's wrong, and you communicate with the parents. That's a different scenario. Now, you also have situations whereby, okay, fine, a child is being bullied by a teacher. Yes. What happens? The reporting line should be followed. Every school must have a child protection lead, a child safeguard lead, whereby, fine, this person is certified for that purpose.
Okay.
The person has meetings regularly. The person does counseling sessions regularly.
Okay.
If you have those things put in place, the act of bullying will reduce. So for every level, you should have one. In every boarding house system, you should have 2 or 3 teachers that are certified to be child protection and safeguard agents. That is very, very, very important. And that's what we try to do. So we have a process and a procedure of reporting such cases independently because of how sensitive it is. Religious-wise, you need to have a Muslim, you need to have a Christian involved in all these things. Because there's some things that will happen to a child and the Christians will take it personal. There's some things that will happen to a child and the Muslims will take it personal. So you must know how to handle these situations so that you handle it both from the religious aspect, which is very important, and from the professional aspect, which is very, very important. So that's what we do in my school.
Speaking of policies and procedures and how you handle situations in your school, now let's look at this in a broader perspective. In a country like Nigeria, for example,
okay,
what can public entities, what can the government do really to ensure that children in school are taught, one, what responsibility is, what accountability is, are taught that bullying is not good? Do you think that the government can include in the school curriculum about bullying, about what is right and what is wrong?
In reality, the government should be able to develop policies that will create community bonding, family bonding, because everything starts from the home. Community bonding, family bonding. Then they should also create policies that gives children the freedom to express themselves.
Right.
The freedom to express themselves. Say it as it is. Say it as it is. Say it as you know it to be. It's very, very, very important. So government policy should be tailored towards that channel. As much as possible now, we are in the process, myself and my team, of establishing a child safeguarding and protection institute, whereby teachers and individuals who are in the line of dealing with children get certified to be able to identify child molestation, child violation, child abuse, bullying. They should be able to identify and know what to do.
Right.
It's a very, very, very important. It's a very, very important aspect of curbing the situation we are in now. We have teachers who are academically good. They can transfer the knowledge of teaching and everything, but the character competency of being able to handle a child, where do you place that? It's very, very important. I give an example. In the UK, you cannot be a teacher if you don't have those certifications.
Absolutely.
You can't teach if you're not certified to be with children. So presently, I and my team, we are working on that to see how we can get that done in collaboration with foreign partners.
Okay.
So that curriculums will be developed for people to understand what child protection is, what child safety is. Yes, for people to understand the legislation behind child safety. For people to understand how to make your environment a child-protected and safe environment. What's the reporting line and what's the reporting structure? When an incident occurs, who is the first person that can report? How do you log it in? And what actions do you take? So as much as possible, when that is done, then we'll know that, okay, fine, we do trainings to teachers, even to parents, even to students. Yes, because the Speak Out campaign is the next thing that we should follow up. Speak out. If you're being bullied, speak out. Yes, it's a Speak Out campaign from children, because they're the ones that are being bullied. Even adults too can speak out, because the fear of speaking out is always an issue. So as much as possible, government should be able to create policies that create family integration, community integration, and the Speak Out policy of children. A child shouldn't be afraid to speak out that he's being bullied. That's what's in the pipeline for now.
As a life skills or coach with over 20 years of experience, what advice do you have for children and adults who have experienced, bullying in the past, or who are currently being bullied by those around them?
Seek professional counseling. Don't take it to mean it's over. Don't take it, don't stigmatize, don't accept the stigma by stigmatizing yourself. Speak out. If you're being bullied, speak out. If you're not comfortable with something, speak out. Then seek professional advice. If those two things come together, you realize the fact that whatever you want to achieve in life is very possible. But see, most people are affected by the silence they keep. When you keep silent about something, it eats you in. You get worried, you don't talk, everything about you is just dampened. But it means you can speak out and you can say it out. I wish we could do the Speak Out campaign for people to speak out immediately. You don't wait for 3-4 years before you start saying, guess what? I was raped. Guess what? This person has been bullying me since. No. Speak out immediately. The courage is what we all need. The courage to do it is what we need. So if we can pray for the courage to do it, because see, what you condole and can manage, you don't change. That's the truth. And doing it is different from getting it done. So when you report it, follow it up to the end to make sure it is solved. Reporting is one. Getting the solution after reporting is two. So as much as possible, my advice is speak out and seek professional counseling.
Okay.
You can speak out and you meet your parents, and your parents will tell you what they know. No, what they know is good. They will not lead you astray, but seek professional counseling. Meet a professional who will say, wow, okay. Because a professional counselor will have the stages of healing. Healing is not a one-off. He will put you through the stages of healing, which is very, very important for you to recover and be yourself again.
I really do appreciate your time and your efforts in coaching us today. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it's always my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and leave your comments in the comment section below. If you have any stories or you would like to share your bullying experience, please leave that in the comment section as well. I'll be leaving links to George Okoh's book and his contact details for those of you who would like to get in touch with him for some life skills coach. Thank you all once again. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.